So you probably saw it doing the rounds online recently, that AI picture of Donald Trump dressed as the Pope.
Oh yeah, hard to miss. Shared on Truth Social I saw, and even the White House X account had it up. Papal robes instead of the usual suit.
Exactly. And what's really interesting and kind of the jumping off point for this deep dive is where the analysis we're looking at comes from.
Right, it's this article by Kenton Patterson. He runs the Future Tech Wise blog, right? Based out in New Zealand.
That's the one. A tech analyst giving this, external perspective.
Which is valuable, I think, getting away from the immediate U.S. political fray, perhaps.
Totally. And that's our mission here, really. We're not just going over the viral moment itself or the instant reactions.
No, it's about looking deeper, isn't it? What does this image, this whole event, tell us about where digital media is headed? And, crucially, about AI.
Precisely. It feels like more than just another news cycle blip. It hints at something, well, bigger, changing under the surface.
And you certainly saw that range of initial reactions, didn't you? I mean, everything from people finding it funny or mocking.
Yeah, accusations of narcissism, that kind of thing.
Right. But also quite serious offense. People seeing it as disrespectful to, religious figures and traditions.
Especially given the timing, right? With Pope Francis having passed recently and a conclave happening, you have to acknowledge that sensitivity.
Absolutely. Respect for faith traditions is, well, it's paramount. That reaction is entirely valid.
But this is where Kenton Patterson's take gets really interesting. He kind of reframes the whole thing.
Yeah, he doesn't just dismiss it as a joke or a political stunt. He actually calls it a wake-up call from the future.
A wake-up call, yeah. And even a milestone. Strong words.
Very. He argues this image, controversial as it is, really shows the profound and disruptive potential of AI.
So what makes it such a milestone in his eyes? It's just one image, right?
Well, I think his point is about the how, not just the what. It's about the incredible ease now.
Ease of creation.
Exactly. The ease with which AI tools can create something so realistic, so visually potent. He says we're at a point where one person,
Just one person.
using these tools, can make something that looks real enough to provoke this massive visceral reaction from millions.
Ah, okay, so it's that democratization of powerful image creation.
That's the core of it, I think. That's the shift he's pointing to. It overrides the immediate politics or the religious debate for him in terms of significance.
So it's not just a meme that'll fade away. He sees it signaling a more fundamental change in how we make and share influential visual.
Yeah, and he makes that comparison to the early days of the internet. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, the Wild West phase, he calls it, for AI image generation.
Exactly. That sort of feeling of, anything goes, no set rules yet, huge potential, but also definite risks.
A bit chaotic, but also bursting with new possibilities.
That's the parallel he's drawing. He's saying, look past the Trump Pope specifics for a second and see this emerging capability. New art forms, new ways to comment, new ways to imagine things.
Okay, so for you listening, the big takeaway Patterson is driving at is this. That image, maybe it made you laugh, maybe made you angry, maybe both. But its existence proves how accessible and, frankly, how powerful this AI image tech has become.
And think about that implication. If one person, relatively easily, can create something that gets such a huge global reaction, what happens next?
Right. What can a whole generation of creators, artists, thinkers do with this? That's the question he poses.
It definitely raises huge questions. And Patterson acknowledges the downsides. The potential for deepfakes is real.
Oh, absolutely. Misinformation, digital manipulation. It's a serious concern that needs careful thought and probably regulation down the line.
For sure. He's not naive about that. But his overall tone seems, well, cautiously optimistic, perhaps. He warns against just being fearful and shutting it down.
Because that might stifle the good stuff, too.
That seems to be his point. He wants us to see the potential for positive uses alongside the risks.
And he actually gives examples of that positive side, which is quite cool.
Yeah, he mentions young people in New Zealand using AI art tools.
To reimagine Maori legends, right. Finding new ways to visualize their cultural stories. That's fascinating.
It really is. And students creating visual poetry or designing futuristic cities or, storyboarding music videos, things that sounded like pure sci-fi not long ago.
Yeah, it's not just theory anymore. It's becoming a practical creative tool.
And another key point in his analysis, I thought, was about the lines blurring.
Between digital and real.
Yeah. He suggests this image is a signpost for a future where our perception of reality, our influence, our very presence is shaped more and more by algorithms and data, not just traditional media.
That's a sobering thought in a way.
It is. It means the power to shape perception is shifting.
So pulling it all together then, the main point isn't really Trump or the Pope specifically.
Not in Patterson's view, no. It's what the image represents.
The accessibility and the impact of AI image generation. The fact that one individual can now create something that causes such ripples.
That's the core message. That power is now much more widely distributed.
And thinking about the future, like Patterson wants us to, you can see this changing landscape, perception, power, presence, all getting tangled up with these AI tools.
Definitely. So for you listening, if you're interested in the forces shaping what's next, this whole episode, Patterson's take on it, it's a pretty significant marker.
Yeah, it highlights that transformation that's underway, and I keep coming back to that Wild West comparison he makes.
It's a good one, isn't it? That sense of a new frontier opening up.
Yeah. Despite the controversies, and there will be more, undoubtedly.
Oh, for sure.
He sees this huge space for new kinds of expression, art, protest, just sheer imagination taking new forms.
And it's tangible, not just abstract. Those examples he gives, the Mori legends, the student projects.
It shows it's happening now. People are already using these tools in really creative, sometimes inspiring ways.
Which makes the responsibility aspect even more critical, of course.
Absolutely. Patterson stresses that. The need for caution, for ethical thinking around deepfakes, misinformation. That can't be overstated. It's powerful tech.
Very powerful, with potential for misuse.
But ultimately, Patterson's message seems to be one of, well, not discouragement.
No, quite the opposite. He seems to be saying, don't let the controversy scare you off entirely. Be inspired.
Inspired to use these tools well, to create better things, think more deeply, teach wisely.
Precisely. He sees that Trump-Pope image, despite everything, as revealing the power of possibility. What could be done for good or ill?
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought, really echoing Patterson. How are we going to engage with this incredibly powerful technology that's becoming more accessible by the day?
Yeah, what kind of architects of this new world, as he puts it, are we going to be? Collectively, individually.
It's definitely something to ponder. The ethics, the creative potential. How does this AI revolution touch your life, your field? Something to think about.